All right, and welcome to the second episode of the Rambling Robin podcast. I'm Robin, and I'm going to ramble a little bit about the things I like to talk about. Today, we're going to keep talking about this little guy right over here, or, well, to a certain degree, I guess. We're going to talk about a little bit about the character designs that I'm thinking of for my current project that I'm working on. Working title, Trolldom. We'll see what the name will be in the future. But yeah, so last time I was talking about trying to figure out the main character of the story and how I want to design them and stuff like that, what their backstory will be and everything. If you want to check it out, you can go to the first episode of this podcast. Um, but today, I was thinking I'm going to go through a little bit of the process of creating new characters, right? Um, or just designing the characters, I guess. Like, what are the concepts I'm trying to use? How have I got to, for example, like this design that I have right next to me? If you're listening to the audio, I'll get a little picture of one of the characters right here. Um, how did I get to this point? And I guess this is going to be a little bit more of a, what do you even call it? It's more of a visual podcast this time around. So if we just jump right into it like this, blam. I got a little picture here right next to me. So I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, unfortunately, because I still want you to see my face. I'm sorry. Maybe I'll keep it over here. No, I'll keep it on this side. Yeah. So here we can see some rough sketches, and these sketches are old. I'm talking about maybe 5 to possibly even 7 years old. So take it with a grain of salt, with the like just the looks of everything, and remember that like the majority of these are just rough sketches. All right. So if we look at this first picture that I got here, I got the design, or I got one of the initial designs for the characters, Barry Petal, the one I got right next to me on the video here. So these are more of the original designs, or like more like concepts, like trying to design what will he be doing, what kind of character is he. And this is like, so basically this is the character that the entire like concept of the story I'm writing is like built around. Like I started designing this character, I started drawing this character just for fun. You can see in the image that he's quite large. He's quite built. With the in the sketches, he has a very small head, actually, like very unproportionately, almost like a One Piece character you can imagine. He's very tall. He's got the big coat, and he's you can see him lifting some people. He's holding his great big staff. I don't think I've thought. Oh yeah, yeah. I had thought of his staff being a giant flower. You can see him. I drew a hand holding a flower, and then a second picture of the hand holding the same flower in the same pose, and then the flower is like wilting away, wilting away, wilting, I think. Yeah. So I'd been working on that for a little bit, and then there's just some random sketches. Just ignore them for those of you who are actually looking at this. Um, so that's kind of like the start of the character designs. Like it started with Barry, and then I have whoops, that's not the right one. Let's see here. Go like this. Yeah. So if we look at this, these are actually sketches I made for a project back when I was studying illustration and design. Back when I used to live in Tokyo, I studied in Harajuku, actually. So for one of the assignments, I wanted to do some kind of illustration with Barry. So one of them, the most left one here, is Barry. He's standing like on top of like a hill or something. He's holding his staff towards the sky, and like just lights are shining through the clouds. Like, you know, the little effect that you can see sometimes. It looks like almost like a holy beam of light is coming through the clouds or something. It's kind of like that concept. And then just a bunch of magicians' heads. So maybe he's like leading an army to something. And then we have a middle picture is him just posing with his foot up on something. His staff, like he's holding his staff like up to his like behind his neck. It's full going from like one shoulder to the next and keeps going. I don't know. It's difficult for me to explain. And then there's another one where with him just sitting in a forest by a fire, and that's actually one of the. It's a picture or like an illustration idea that I've really wanted to perfect. I really, really wanted to do an illustration with this like simple concept, just somebody sitting by a fire in like a forest or something. And I've tried so many different iterations and so many different like angles and stuff without like with and without Barry as the character in the picture. But it's so difficult for me to find to just make one that draw one that feels satisfying to me. It's just something like I have this very like, specific idea in my head that I can't focus on. So it's really annoying when I can't just make it appear on paper, or when I draw on a tablet or something. But then on this in this picture or on this page that I've been just sketching stuff, there's just some other like thumbnail ideas that I made for the sketches, and there's just a stupid head, there's a girl, and then there's another guy who looks like he looks more. I guess you could argue that his design is still a little leaning a little bit towards what I'm going for in this story in Trolldom. He looks somewhat medieval in the clothes he's wearing, but like depending on like the details of the clothing that are just not present because this is a rough sketch, he could still exist in the world that I'm trying to create. And if we keep going here, there just more thumbnail concepts for Barry and just a bunch of bad sketches as well. And here we can also see, so I guess it's not a spoiler or anything because it's not even, I'm not even sure it's going to be a part of the story. But one idea I really like is that Barry has, he's kind of like an retired magician, like he used to be this badass or something, and like for some reason or another he's in this town where the story will start off, and he owns a shop, and he's just a very laid back seemingly kind man, but he's actually very snide because he sees himself as a little bit better than a lot of people, very much because of his old age. You might not be able to tell, but he's actually very old, lore reasons. But either way, so I imagined him with that, and then I just drew a bunch of stuff where like tried to do a few action poses, him swinging his huge staff around, like almost using it not only as like a magic staff but also somewhat like a blunt weapon or something. And then I also drew a more like skinny version of him, which I do like actually. I really like that design. It's just something about this design that I've used for Barry in general that I really enjoy recreating over and over again, with like just like a almost stereotypical magician's hat and then the cloak and stuff. And then keep going. These are just some character concepts that I might use. These are more for like different races or like types of people in the world, I guess. Like some kind of humans that have grown antlers, but they're also very tall and skinny. Like imagine almost like how elves are usually depicted, but they have antlers, right? And then we have like the stereotypical dwarves, and I guess this is just like there might be Asian people in this world or something. I don't know. I thought of just adding this because like I still want to do like, because I still want to mix the fantasy, like the medieval fantasy, with a somewhat more modern, like Wild West aesthetic, and that's why I put this in here. See here, and this is another one like just. So this is more. This is actually a thumbnail that I did for one of my graduation pieces, I guess you could call them, for when I finished school. I can actually pull that one up, I think. But I worked on it, and it's kind of like it's a bunch of characters standing in the middle of something with a big castle in the background, and I think it's supposed to be a little bit ominous. Maybe they're like being surrounded by something, but who knows, right? Let's see here. I'm gonna cut right here. So here, this one. This is actually the finished version of. Whoops, and that's completely unrelated. So yeah, this picture is actually the finished product of what I was working on right there. It's very like oversaturated, or it ended up being very oversaturated, I feel like. And I kind of had this idea, or well, you saw the sketch. It is like a band of like 4 characters here. They have all one distinct color each. I wanted to just separate them a little bit with the background. But if you're, let's see, I can zoom. There we go. So if you're watching the video version of this, you can see kind of how I thought to mix these different types of like medieval style with a more modern style, especially if you look at this girl right here. You can zoom in quite a lot actually. This girl in purple, she's wearing like kind of like a wizard hat kind of thing with like fur on it and stuff, and then she's got like some, kind of like a corset and a big belt with gun holsters strapped to them, and she's got the little what do you even call them, like like the fishnet thigh highs, I guess. I don't even know what they're called, like stuff like that. Like I guess her design more than any of the others show off that. But yeah, so that's something like that you can see in the aesthetics that I'm trying to build here. Let's go back to this. I'm gonna open it back up right there. We got that and this. And if we, all right, so here, initial name for Barry was actually Roz, because like Rose, Roz, right? And yeah, this version, this never really stuck for me. Like I tried to recreate the skinny version, but it kind of made him look like almost like sickly, like a way different. Like it kind of worked for the aesthetic that I was thinking of first, like him being very sickly looking, very skinny, because he would be like a draining mage. He would steal the magical powers and stuff from other people, or like he would drain it from them. He would drain life energy or something. But yeah, I never stuck with that design really, and I don't know. He's holding like dynamite or something in this picture. I have no idea what I was thinking. But yeah, we keep going. There's an antler man. It's not really important. These are very rough sketches of just Barry and like showing his size and like just moves with the staff. I really like, because I really enjoy like spear characters, like people with like big long weapons, not just swords. Like I really like Sephiroth in Final Fantasy VII, both the old and the new one. And I really like just the long sword, but I think it from that I've evolved like a love for just like people wielding like long weapons in general, and from that just like spears and stuff like that. I've always thought of very cool. So I wanted to see like, okay, what kind of action poses could I create to make it look very living? Like what kind of moves could you do with this staff weapon that has like a blunt object at the end? It's not a spear, it's not really a stabbing weapon. Like what moves would you do then? So those are some very rough sketches for that, and just posing. Same here, it's an old version, it's a young version, him being more buff. It's just another stupid pose. All right, and here's a little, the Withering Rose would be Barry's like nickname or something. See, I got a little picture of him with a speech bubble. You know I'm called the Withering Rose. He's being all smug about himself, like, yeah, they call me that for a reason, baby. I'm pretty fucking cool, you know? Yeah. Oh, yeah. And if you, in the video version, you can see here, I wrote anime trope application. It's not called the Withering Rose because of his giant flower. It's because he drains the life force from his flowers to use his magic. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's actually one idea that I might actually still use in the story. Got some more action poses, him swinging the thing around and stuff. We got some, like, I've not been able to like decide on what I want his face to look like, but basically every sketch I've ever made of his face on paper, they've sucked. I've hated them. Just just to let people know, and especially the ones I can see in this picture. Got some more Yeah, and then we come back to the start. Yeah, so that was just a small visual aid, or people might have been interested in a lot for myself as well. Um, and those are just sketches. Like the majority of those sketches are about 4 to 5 years old, at least. Meaning that a lot has changed since then. If you look at the Barry that I have with me here in the video version, once again, he's way closer to the final design that I have. It's not really this design either, but it's the one that I'm comfortable showing off to people as of now. But I've also started working on the character Ull, ULL. I guess I'll give a short, like, a little synopsis or whatever you could call it of what I've written about her so far. So I'll be reading a little bit from the text that I have, and we'll see if I can send things out or something. But I'll read from it just to give you like somewhat of an idea who this Ull is. So Ull, a great mage currently serving as the leader of the organization, yet to be named. She's a big and tall woman, about 200 centimeters tall, with long wavy hair covering a lot of her upper body. She usually wears a thick coat with sturdy-looking boots, no matter the weather. Her hair, along with her choice of clothing, makes her have a very fluffy aura about her. That, along with her larger-than-life, warm and welcoming personality, is what gave her the nickname Great Lamb Ull. And Ull, ULL, in Swedish actually means wool. It's kind of where I got the idea from. Pretty fucking clever, if you ask me. But her being slightly self-conscious about her age did not accept the initial nickname Great Sheep, as she felt that the lamb felt both younger and kinder, and that's why she's called Lamb, because she didn't want her nickname to be defined based on her age. I'm not sure about that yet. Like, like I like Great Lamb more than Great Sheep, but I may change that. And her story is having spent her younger years learning magic from one of the 14 great sages. You'll learn more about them in the future. She has managed her way through life, blasting through the walls standing in her way, not letting anything stop her from reaching her goals. After she joined the organization in her early 40s, she soon realized that her calling in life is what her calling in life is. After she started noticing Rudolph, another character, the previous leader of the organization, she noticed his descent into madness. She quickly took matters into her own hands, and with the help of other like-minded members, she managed to take the spot as the organization's leader and get rid of Rudolph. So that's just a very short synopsis of what I'm comfortable reading about her right now. And a little bit, that's a little bit about her story and like how I'm trying to portray that character. And I'm working on her right now. I've noticed a lot, actually, that, let's see here. All right, here. So this, Rose Quartz from Steven Universe. Blam. Took me way too long to just get that picture. Not really worth the time. Either way, so the way I'm designing her, she, like, every time I'm trying to design Ull, she keeps reminding me of Rose Quartz from Steven Universe. If you're listening to the podcast, you might know her, or you could just look her up. With the big hair, but that's kind of like a part of what I want to try to do with this character. Like, I want her to have that like big fluffy round arm. So I'm thinking like Ull will probably be a little like more of a hefty woman, like, but she's gonna be big and tall and like she's gonna look strong, right? I really want to do that. So that's one. And then another character that I've actually thought of that I want to put in this, like, and this is like, we're going into like just, these are just rough ideas. Like, this character that I'll be mentioning now might not even make it into the story at all. Like, only if I think of a way to actually implement this character in a way that makes sense. Though based on like how I'm writing or how I'm this world, it doesn't really have to make sense for it to work. But I'll get to it when I get to it, right? But Isekai Annie. That's right, Isekai Annie. Isekai meaning another world, and Annie rhyming with Isekai somewhat, or like it has the alliteration, I guess. It's just a girl from a different world that has ended up in this world, where the story takes place, but I don't want her to be the main character. That's I think that is a really interesting like idea to make use of, because usually when there's an isekai story, it is almost always like the main character that is like part of the isekai, right? They have come from another world or something. But I'm thinking like, how could I make an interesting character uh, from another world that came to this world, who's basically not even like a real, like she's not a main character, um, but she's like the supporting cast. Like you'll see her around, something like that. I would really want to try to use that. And like Annie being a girl, that's like 100% alliteration. That's just how I thought of the name. Um, I won't talk more about like her story or anything because I want to keep that a little bit secret for the time being. But yeah, I guess that's just a short little conversation about the characters that I'm working on, how I got few of these ideas, not all of them, and some of like the very basic designs of what I want to do. I guess I could show a little bit here actually. Other characters that I've been working on. So if I open this up, yeah, you can see this. So these are 5 mages that I've before I started working on this story, I just wanted to do like a lineup illustration like this. Um, then I started designing the characters like separately from each other. So as you can see, like in the middle here, we have this guy with his floating books, and like he had some orbs and stuff before. So basically, if I explain the design for the podcast listeners, it's a guy. He's got to wear like a, it's called like a bowler hat, with a bunch of like rings in it, almost looking like he's got a tambourine on top of his head, I guess. And then he's got oh man, I don't even know how to explain like his clothing. He's got a he's got a bare upper body, but he's wearing like a necklace with little like metal balls on it, and at the bottom of the necklace is a flat like metal disc of some kind, and then around his arms, leading to his back, you can't see his back, but like leading to his back are these like imagine some like I think they're like Buddhist prayer beads or something. I'm not sure what they are. Like I've seen them. I've seen a few characters in Japanese games and stuff. They have these just around their neck, but I thought like the design, I don't know. I thought it looked kind of cool to just have them around his arms. And then if you look further down, he's got some poofy pants and he's got a cape just around his waist with a huge belt, and then he's got some cool looking, I don't know, weird shoes, and then he's flying on like a floating book, and he's got pages. He's holding 2 other books in his hands, waving them around. There's pages flying everywhere. It's just like a rough concept of like some kind of character that I wanted use in the story. Actually, because I love just designing different characters, and for this story, I'm trying to see if I can implement characters that I've designed before into this new story that I'm making, just to make things a little bit easier on myself. But then again, I would have to look at this character and think like, okay, what is his place in this story? How can I make him a part of the story? How long will it take until I can use him in the story? Who knows? But if we keep going, here we got another man looking fairly similar to Barry Petal here, but a little skinnier, looking a little bit younger. This guy has red hair. Barry Petal has green hair, but looking like he could be one of his fellow disciples or someone like from the same village or city, or who knows, right? He's also got a giant flower staff with him, and he's swinging it around, and the petals are flying all over the place. Looking pretty cool, in my own opinion. I think it looks pretty badass. And then if we look here, we got some kind of a like Death Knight, but he's also like a mime or a clown or something. I really like that concept of like Death Knights are pretty cool, like just like a dark knight having to do with like mysterious dark powers. And this character design looks like he's kind of that, but also with a hint of um, with a hint of a clown or a hint of a mime or something. For some reason, I think that is like a cool concept that I really want to keep working on, like a clown knight, but make them look badass. That's the trick. That's the hard part. But I think I've kind of succeeded. We don't really have a lot of the clown or mime part with this, except for like he's got a little thing on his arm and his eyes are looking like they got some kind of makeup on them. Aside from that, he just kind of looks like a Dark Knight or something. And then we got some girl with the big black hair and a few missing limbs being replaced with mechanical, like steampunk shit, I guess. We got some guy with a backpack, a stroll. We got some very generic looking, like I guess like a fire mage or something. We got some alien looking stuff from a different project, and I don't know why it's in this folder. We got a berry pedal. We got this guy. I have a name for him. This is it's like a skinny, almost like a Joker looking guy, like a Joker from Batman looking guy. He's got the green hair. He's got the purple clothing, though it's only his pants. I do a lot of bare chested men. I just realized. I don't know why. Maybe that's something about me. I don't like drawing shirts, maybe. But then he's got this huge, iron ball or something on like this glowing green string, and it's spitting out these green flames, looking pretty fucking badass. This character I'm definitely putting in the story, and it's gonna be interesting to see how how I'm gonna be able to implement him and like make him a part of the story without making him take up too much of, I don't know how to explain it, because I feel like if I say more about him, I'll just accidentally spoil something about him. But either way, this guy is going to be a part of the story, and he looks ridiculous, and like he could definitely be a part of like a more modern Wild West setting. Except he's also very like the mage setting as well. So I'm really liking that. And then I have a few other characters that I'm not going to show you right now, because I'm going to finish off this episode for today, because I've been rambling on for almost a half an hour right now. Holy crap. Not really half an hour, because I've been cutting this episode up. As you might notice, it's definitely not a half an hour yet. It's maybe, I don't know, 20 something minutes at least. But yeah, I'll thank you for your time if you listened this far today. And oh yeah, and before I leave, definitely check me out on Instagram, Twitter, and ArtStation if you want to see my art. Twitter also to see just general updates about when I drop new episodes for the podcast, and just general updates. You can also, if you're just listening to the podcast, you can follow me on YouTube. And my YouTube handle is, pretty sure it's Mr. Gobliner, or is it Doffman? I keep forgetting which one I'm using. I have a lot of different YouTube accounts. Mr. Gobliner is the YouTube account. And hopefully you'll be able to find me there somehow. I'm not sure how. But yeah, I hope you have a great day, and welcome back next time. Goodbye.